Hello guys. Kind of doing things a little different this time around. This year for movie theater reviews has been very chaotic to say the least. And by that I means I haven't been doing it. and the biggest reason why is just I just got busy, got caught up in other things. I will say, starting next year, there will be a format change with the vlogs. I literally just came up with the idea, but I'm not gonna talk about it right now. I'm gonna save that for a channel update that I'm planning on doing soon. Um, but I'm still gonna do stuff through the old format right now, and right now we're doing movie theaters. I'm gonna be catching up. It's gonna be a special Halloween thing. I'm gonna be catching up through all of these freaking things I didn't talk about for the whole year. So it's so there's 10 right now that are gonna be upcoming, and threw in this one. There might be 11. There might be 11. I can't say for sure right now, but at minimum there's gonna be 10. So there's gonna be a huge jump in that movie theater reviews playlist. And we're gonna start one from way back early in the year. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This movie came out this year. It's rated PG-13. It's 2 hours 4 minutes long. It's directed by Peyton Reed, who's done the other Ant-Man movies. It stars Paul Rudd, who we also saw in Perks of Being a Wallflower, and Evangeline Lilly. I forgot what else she's in outside of this. Let me look. She was in the Hobbit movies. Okay, that helps. Okay. The movie has 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb with about 208,000-ish user votes, and has a 48% score on Metacritic with 305 critics. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's 46% by critics with 410 critics, and 82% by audience, about 10,000-ish audience people. The critics' consensus is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania mostly lacks the spark of the fun that elevated earlier adventures, but Jonathan Majors Kong is a thrilling villain poised to alter the course of the MCU. We'll get to that in a minute here. An audience says the plot's a bit of a mess, but overall, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania starts Phase 5 of the MCU with a colorful, creative thrill ride that will leave you wanting to see much more of Jonathan Majors as Kong. Or Kang, or whatever. Now, let's get some stuff out of the way here. Now, Kang or Kong, I say Kong, but it's technically Kang, I think. So excuse me if I swap those terminologies in and out. So basically, I love this villain. I knew about this villain since I started getting into comics. One of the first comics I ever owned was an introduction to Kong, or something like that. So I really was hyped to see this character active. I really was. And we first saw him in Loki, but it wasn't technically Kong, it was like a variant. But I will say the actor they picked for this role is phenomenal. He's excellent. I know there was some controversy with him earlier this year that I think it ended up being resolved clearing him, but I'm not quite sure. I think it did clear him, but it's weird. But for sake of simplicity, we're just gonna treat it like he's like everything's fine. For sake of simplicity, unless something else comes out otherwise. For sake of simplicity, like I say. So in that other outside of that, he's excellent in this movie. He is the high point of this movie for sure. Definitely awesome. I'm looking forward to what he has to offer, as long as no other trouble follows. Because for the love of God, if Marvel has to recast this character, it really wreck things. I mean, maybe not, since they can get around. There's some things they could do to probably get around that, but lately, for some reason, I've noticed this, and this is a huge side note, but I've been noticing this about a lot of Marvel stuff and everything in general, where for some reason people are so, like, studios there, they're so fucking afraid to recast actors, which is so stupid, because it's a nightmare. Because here's the thing: you could either alter a whole story, a whole character arc, everything, all these other character arcs and everything to kill off one character because one actor couldn't or didn't want to return, or you could just recast them. You know? And yeah, are there times where recasting is the wrong call? Sure. Sometimes roles should go with the actor. But I don't think it should be the majority. In fact, I should be a heavy minority. I think a majority of the time you should recast. Because here's the thing: one, you can keep stuff going as planned. So even for better or for worse, the plans follow. And number two, you can get a new actor or somebody else a chance to do things in their own spin, and it can lead to other things for that person's career. But no, but we'll get. But yeah, that. But yeah, I as I've gotten older, I've kind of become more and more of a fan of recasting because I just feel like it's just an easier solution. And yeah, it can be a little weird when you recast some, especially if it's somebody that's been there for a while and you're kind of used to the way they interact with other characters. See that change can be a little weird, but if you do it right, it can be awesome. Um, yeah. Outside of that, I will say I actually do like this movie, and here's the reason why. One, um, I typically don't like to do spoilers in movie theater reviews for the idea of everyone, to see. But I will say this: I do think the movie. This is the first one in the Ant-Man trilogy where I do feel like there is a bit of an emotional hinge. That's done pretty well for the main character, and you'll know about it when you get to the end. But I do feel like by the time I got done watching this, I am legit invested in how this character is going to go after this movie because it's a little different. Do I like the quantum realm. I do. I think it is a little similar in a lot of ways to outer space and the Guardian Galaxy shit and whatnot, but and at the same time there are things about it that are unique to its own. The humor's there. It's good for the most part. I do the big one. Granted, I will say this for something that since it's been so long, I will actually make correct myself earlier about the spoiler thing because it has been a minute since this one's came out. Because this thing came out like February, it's been like 8 months. So if nobody's watched this yet, it's because they don't want to. So maybe for some of these videos, I may be a little more looser with the spoilage than I usually would be. So bear that in mind. So regarding that, I will say like they do a good. Sorry, to follow up on what I was saying earlier about the main character toward the end. Having said what I said about the spoiler thing, um, really, it really ties from the beginning to like the end part of it, where because at the beginning of the movie everything's going fine, and at the end of the movie he's kind of going through the same shtick, but there's a little difference there. He starts to feel a little. Is it or isn't it? Because he starts questioning himself and things. And you can start to see cracks in like the emotional armor because this character because this character throughout this whole franchise and other Marvel movies up to this point has been pretty happy-go-lucky. Even if he's kind of mad or got knocked down, he still somewhat has a positive attitude. But we're starting to see cracks at the end of this movie about it, and I'm intrigued in it. I'm curious at how they're going to do that going forward. I will say this: I don't know if they're going to do a fourth Ant-Man movie, though. I will say that, which is kind of sad because I thought the first two. I will say this: I do think out of all the Marvel movies I've seen, the only movie I feel like is a tad overrated is the first Ant-Man movie, just a tad. I still think it's a really good movie, but based on the numbers and stuff, the statistics and all that, I think it's a little generous for a movie like that. The sequel I like the best of the trilogy. I really like that one a lot. This one though, I think it takes the most chances, but I feel like it sacrifices a lot of the Ant-Man spirit of the first two movies for this. And there's a lot of characters from the first two movies, like returning characters that aren't in this. Like it feels kind of weird. It definitely feels like because I know they've been real high up on bringing in the Fantastic Four, and I know that this is kind of like I feel like this movie was kind of served as a testing ground for it because this definitely feels like something the Fantastic Four would do as opposed to the Ant-Man family. So I will say that. However, in spite of that, there's another thing about this. MODOK. All right. I will say this. I think here's the thing in Marvel's defense. MODOK, he's just a weird character. He's weird to look at. He's just weird. It's not something that's going to look good live action no matter what. However, I will say the helmet look before they revealed him, I think that's probably the best look you can get with a character like that. But they didn't stick with it. I love, like, again, spoilers, but it's been a bit, so just keep in mind the fact they tied that to a character from the first movie. I think was genius. I think it's a great way to do it. I kind of wish they made him a tiny bit more vicious, just a tiny bit. I understand they're kind of making him like kind of a joke a little bit. I will say the special effects on him, oof, I think there's ways to have done that a little bit better than they chose to. But but I will say this. They acknowledge in the movie there's kind of like this vibe knowledge, like everyone who's, yeah, this character's kind of weird. And it's kind of a shame because MODOK in the comics is a very, very formidable villain and has gained kind of a fan base over the years. So this is not a bad interpretation, but I don't think it's going to be the last interpretation because I think they hinted at the movie that he's not the first MODOK. So I think there's going to be, we explore more in the future. Having said that, I do think this film has a lot of good moments. I loved Kong in this. He really makes this movie. Everything else is nice. Some of the new supporting characters in Quantum Realm are kind of quirky and cool too, but yeah, this movie is kind of a mess. And I think the biggest problem with this movie is that it's an identity thing. It feels kind of a drop in Ant-Man. Like, Ant-Man kind of developed this niche and vibe that was unique to it, and they kind of like threw it all away for this movie. And on one hand, this movie does have a lot of emotional stakes for Ant-Man, and I do like what it could lead to with him. But at the same time, like, if this is the last Ant-Man movie, that's gonna be a shame. Because I think despite what I feel about the first movie and the fact that it's Ant-Man, I do feel like after all things said and done and that the character and all the characters and everything, I feel like they do deserve a good solid movie to kind of conclude things on. And I don't think they got it with this one. I don't think so. But having said that, overall, I still think it's a solid movie. I will say this about Marvel films, and you'll be hearing about this probably going forward. CGI in movies is starting to get really old, really fast. And I remember earlier in MCU days and whatever, the CGI felt like was used the right way. But now, and granted, this isn't an MCU exclusive thing. This isn't a lot of stuff too. But I feel like CGI is starting to be used as a way to just like fast track shit, and it's really lazy and it really shows. Having said that, though, despite all that, I still think this is a decent, solid Marvel movie. I don't think it's the worst MCU movie. I will stand by the ground that I think out of all the MCU movies I've seen, I think the only one I would consider quote unquote the worst is probably Eternals. Which I hate saying that because Eternals in a lot of ways is an excellent movie. But I think out of all the MCU films I've seen, I think that's the only one where I feel like the MCU spirit isn't in it. And I don't know if I talked about that in the Eternals review. I did. I hope I did. I hope I didn't mess up. But yeah, having said that, I do have a lot of reviews to do, so I'm gonna try to kind of keep things at a fair pace. I don't want to drag things on too long. But overall, I think it's solid. I think it does deserve some credit. However, if Jonathan Majors does get recasted because there is either something happens, then I think it will really kind of wreck not only the plans, but I think it will make the movie not age as well as it's already probably going to struggle to do with everything. But overall, though, solid movie. I like it fine. It's not a bad watch. Definitely check it out. Outside of all that, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. In case you guys want to chat with anyone at the Campy Company, you didn't want to use the YouTube comment section, there is a couple options. The first one is we have a Discord channel. You can find a link to that in the About page / About section of our channel. We also have a community tab on our channel as well. You can access that anywhere at any time. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.